Going into Prey, I was admittedly on the fence. Predator as a franchise, for one, shouldn't have been a franchise. You know why? Because it's a movie about a bunch of burly guys running around in the woods, shooting at an invisible thing, and then they eventually kill. This is capitalism. And that movie made a bunch of money, and a lot of people liked it. So, of course, sequels time, baby! Throw out all the sequels, make the same movie a bunch of times, but in slightly different settings with slightly different characters, and you make more money. That's how it goes. But that was also partially why I was a little nervous going into this, not just because I don't care for Predator as a franchise, and I don't think it should be a franchise, but because it's a Hulu exclusive. And most movies that are just an exclusive, and they don't even get a theater run, tend to be on the uh-oh side. Like, we don't know what to do with this because it's not good or it's not finished. Just dump it and then forget about it. Yep, that's it. Hooray, the movie's done and it's dumped on whatever. So I was nervous. I love this movie. From almost start to finish, I was completely on board with it. There's a little stretch we could talk about that kind of lost me, but other than that, and some visual effects and some dialogue, which we can also talk about, this is great. I had a blast with this. Put it in theaters, because I would go see this in theaters. And I'm sure a lot of people would, because this is great. I think the biggest reason why this works so well is the script. Really, the script is the highlight of this movie for me. It's solid, dude. It's nothing spectacular. It's just a solid script. And that's kind of all I'm looking for in an action movie about an alien that shows up and kills people and snakes, apparently. That's all I want, is a solid script. That's all it needed to be. Some solid characters with solid motivations and a solid story. I'm going to say solid as many times as possible so that the word loses all meaning, but I thought it was solid. The characters, for one, they're not deep, but it's a movie about an alien that guts a snake. So they don't need to be deep. They have their motivations to do what they're doing, and that's all it really needed to have. You understand the main character of Naru, who is this Native American woman who is trying to prove to her tribe that she can hunt. So she wants to do this kind of ritual where you hunt something that is hunting you. They hunt a lion because a lion is something that can hunt and kill you. And so they hunt and kill that to prove that they are, a big, strong warrior with big muscles. And Naru wants to do that. So, boom, motivation, boom, character. That's enough, really. Now, does she have an arc? Not really, but you understand her motivations. You understand why she wants to do what she's doing. And you like her enough to be on board. She's a solid actor in this role, and she does pretty good with it. So that's enough. And then the story, which I've already kind of explained, it takes enough twists and turns to be interesting. Because, again, it is kind of on the thin side. It's just about a girl who's hunting a predator because she doesn't really know what the predator is. She thinks it's something big, and she wants to prove that she's a big, strong hunter with big muscles. So she's like, I'm going to hunt whatever that thing is. I saw lightning in trees, and this thing was zipping around and had massive, a foot the size of half my body, but I'm going to kill it because I'm a badass, and I'm a girl boss. Let's go.
I'm coming with you.
You can't.
I'm trying to protect you.
Protect me from what?
As long as the characters are clever, that's all I need. And they are, and we can talk about that more in a minute. But let's get to the story, because I've talked about enough to where we should talk about the story. The first act is really solid. It's just this Native American tribe. They're talking about this ritual. They go on the ritual. She kind of helps a little bit, but then gets knocked out and is frustrated by the fact that her brother killed this lion without her, and he had to carry her back. So she's going out to kill the predator. Pretty solid first act. Sets up motivation, sets up characters. It does a pretty solid job of telling you everything you need to know about these people and getting into the story as quickly as possible. Effective filmmaking. I love it. Second act gets a little dicey, I'll be honest. The first half of the second act is pretty motiveless. It's pretty uninteresting. It's like 3 or 4 scenes of Naru walking around she goes and sets up camp somewhere, and then she ends up in a bog where she's getting covered in mud and slowly sinking, and then she walks around some more, and then she finds some bison, and intercut with this is 3 or 4 scenes of the Predator hunting bigger and bigger predators, animal predators. He kills a snake, he kills a wolf, he kills a grizzly bear, and one of the best scenes in the movie, honestly. I love that grizzly bear scene, other than the wonky visual effects. So you have these scenes where they're just intercutting between the two characters, the villain and the protagonist, and it feels like you could more or less rearrange Naru's scenes in any order. The Predator makes sense because he's escalating into more dangerous predators as he goes, but Naru's just walking about. When she encounters the bear, then it really upswings, but the 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, I don't know how long, but before that and after she leaves her camp, her tribe, is a little dicey for me. It's not that interesting, and it kind of lost me, but the second that grizzly bear shows up, dude, I was on board, because the Predator shows up and he's awesome. He's ripping people up, dude, and I loved it. This movie gets so violent. I love when a Predator takes out its freaking knives in its hand and shoves it through someone's chin and out the top of their head. I love when he takes out his shield and uses it to decapitate someone while also cutting a tree in half. It's badass, dude. Okay? Just give me this. Please. More movies should be like this, to be honest. Dan Trachtenberg perfectly uses subtlety and tension to build rewarding action. And it sounds so simple, but when it's done right, there's nothing like it. When you can really subtly set things up and build tension with just shots and editing and some moody lighting, and then having the ability and the restraint to cut away from that action so that you don't get waterlogged by it, it's perfect. The action is perfectly done. There's this awesome shot, long one take, where Naru is dispatching all these disgusting trappers, and it goes on for so long. It's super impressive. So the first act does a pretty good job of setting everything up. The second act is a little dicey to start, but it ends up being awesome. And the third act really rewards your patience, because the first half of this is slow. It's pretty methodically paced. Again, there's some scenes that don't feel like they have a lot of motivation or connective tissue, and so it kind of comes out a little bit slow, but wow, is this third act awesome. Naru really comes into her own, becomes that girl boss, and starts butchering people, predators, you name it, she's killing it, and it's awesome. And I loved that it uses setup payoffs to make her feel like she's doing something, like she's clever, and she's utilizing things that she's picked up along the way. He has that little 3 laser gun in the Predator that's a laser, and in this one it just shoots metal rods, which are cool too. They're like homing rods. There's a lot of cool design choices in this. He has this big lance thing that extends, cool looking stuff. He has these little bombs that shoot out and explode, which is one of the better moments of concealing action in this, which I kind of touched on earlier. I love that Dan Trachtenberg can cut away from action and you can fill in the gaps enough. It doesn't overwhelm you. They have those little 3 bombs and you're like, okay, they're going to slice up people or explode, and it cuts away and you see them boom, 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 going off in the distance. Didn't need to see it, but then he's like, all right, let's get into some gratuitous gore. I'm going to cut a guy's head off in front of a camera. I'm going to slice people in half in front of the camera, and it's awesome. So at the end of the day, I thought this movie was a riot, dude. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's not in theaters, which I'm going to be pissed about until the end of time, but it's a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think some of the dialogue comes across pretty clunky, just like in the original. The visual effects at times can be kind of unpolished and not look that good. And that second act, of course, is a little dicey at times. A little bit dicey. Nothing crazy, but a little bit. But Other than that, I think the characters are good enough to get by. They're clever. They're fun. You like them. The story takes enough twists and turns with these trappers introduced, the Predator doing his thing with these animals, Naru hunting him, not fully realizing what she's getting into. It takes enough twists and turns to be compelling, and the action's awesome. So I give it a 7. Maybe an 8 if I'm going to rewatch it. I might like it more. We'll find out. Maybe that second act will work better on a second watch. Anyway, that's it for me. See you later. I can't get this snap to go. There we go.